a very warm welcome to this episode of Power Talks. You know, when we talk about GCCs, we mostly think of them as back offices, but in reality, now they are the front lines of industries that touch human lives directly. And we're going to talk about one such industry which is very critical, healthcare industry. And joining me in the studios for this interesting conversation is Sankarnarayan, APAC GBS Head and Global Lead, MDM and Sourcing at Smith Nephew. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. It's always an honor.
Thank you. It's our honor to have you as well, sir. You know, starting with the first question, getting directly into the topic. In healthcare industry, accuracy and reliability, both are very life critical, right? So how are sort of GCCs helping organizations like yours to drive better patient outcomes and also doing that while managing the scale and the cost part of it?
Yeah, so I think the GCCs play a very, very vital role space today. From a GCC standpoint, primarily, I think the few areas that really enable the healthcare world, specifically when it comes to really providing better patient outcomes, as well as striking the right balance between the regulatory requirement and as well as being innovative as well. Now, if I have to really focus on few areas, one is enabling innovation at scale is one of the areas that GCCs really play a very vital role by creating innovation hubs and making sure that the world of healthcare is changing very fast. And it also enables the speed to market as far as the innovation hubs are concerned, and it plays a very vital role to drive some of those product innovations as far as healthcare is concerned. The second important piece that GCC plays a vital role is centralization and optimization of operations as well. So GCCs play a very big role in not only helping centralizing operations, because many large organizations have a very distributed kind of setup and the same things are done differently. Centralization helps to bring everything under one roof, and then it helps in driving optimization as well. So that's the second area where GCCs play a very, very vital role.
All right, you know, when we talk about healthcare industry, it sort of deals in a heavily regulated environment as well, right? So what makes the GCC model effective for data compliance, the compliances, the data governance part, and also sort of medical sourcing at scale?
So the most important piece is what you're saying is right, because it's a highly regulated business. Obviously, what is important is to understand the legislations related to, let's say, for example, if you're catering to the Europe market, you're governed by GDPR regulations. And if you're talking about the US, you're talking about HIPAA regulations. Now, the most important part is how GCC plays a vital role is they have got local talent with global capability. So the GCCs have the ability to have talent that is available, that has a high level of awareness on some of the local legislations on the one hand. And on the other hand, it's also about, how do you have data governance in place? It's also about how do you drive data governance frameworks, and GCC plays a very, very important role creating such frameworks and putting the controls in place as well. So I think these are few areas. In addition to that, I think there are various other methods of ensuring compliance. So for example, if you are doing clinical trials, for example, how do you make the data anonymous, but yet you are able to kind of service is a very important area where GCC plays a very vital role. So I think there are few areas where GCC plays a very critical role in maintaining data governance, in driving confidentiality of data, specifically the PIA data related to patient information and so on, there are strong frameworks that govern that.
Yeah, and that's going to be my next question. When we talk about medical data, it's very sensitive, right? But yet it is also very important for the treatments to be done right. So how do we sort of strike that balance between using that data efficiently and also keeping it secure?
Absolutely. So I think that's a great question. In my understanding, the important pieces, that's why I said, you've got a very strong data governance framework, which is super critical for a GCC today. Now, when I talk about data governance framework, it is about how do you protect patient information on the one hand. There are various methods to it, right? So you got very clearly laid down PII data access policy, data management policy that has a very, very strong governance built into it and controls built into it as well. On the other hand, you also have methods of, there is a terminology where you say you use the data, but you don't leave a trail as well. So you don't leave a trail for data. There are various technologies that are available which can declassify data when it comes to external access. So on the one hand, you use those key data for your own purpose of providing better healthcare. On the other hand, you have those strong governance systems and security systems in place that kind of doesn't leave a trail of the data as well.
All right. When it comes to the healthcare GCCs, healthcare GCCs sort of need to work closely with collaborators across the globe, right? There are multiple collaborators, be it regulators or suppliers worldwide. So there need to be a close-knit network for healthcare GCCs, right? So, but how do we, what makes this collaboration model at scale successful for GCCs?
I think it's about being very transparent, having very transparent processes. It's also about how do you inculcate that sense of collaboration through the way you set up your relationship with your ecosystem that kind of works together. And most importantly, I think what drives this relationship is the level of transparency you have, the way you kind of consider them as partners and not vendors is very, very important. You have, for example, you've got various people, you've got to deal with hospitals, you've got to deal with, let's say, vendors that work with you as a part of the ecosystem. You've got various other functions and regulatory authorities, most importantly, because we are in the medical devices world. One is very strong documentation, which is very critical, and how you set up as an organization, how you set up your systems and processes, and how the robustness of your systems and processes makes a lot of difference when it comes to how you are seen as an organization that is complying to the requirements as well. So it's a combination of things that we are talking about here. One, if it is supplier, it is about not considering as a vendor and consumer kind of relationship, but more as a partner that inculcates that sense of collaboration more. When it comes to hospitals, it is about the trust factor that comes into play. How you develop that trust is through a strong ecosystem internally within the organization where people can trust on your data, in what you talk about, and you back it up with your action as well, which makes a significant difference in the way the ecosystem comes together and collaborates very effectively as well.
No, absolutely. And when we talk about the GCCs in India, a lot of GCCs are apparently coming in for the talent powerhouse that we have in India, right? But when it comes to the talent, what kind of specialized talent do healthcare GCCs need currently? Is it around digital tools? Is it around clinical trials or data? What is it actually that the GCCs need from the country in terms of talent?
I think it's a combination of all you just mentioned, right? In my understanding, I think most of the GCCs require technology as the base talent that drives most of what we do in the GCC world. Now, when it comes to specifically in our industry, where I'm coming from the medtech world, and Smith Nephew is a medtech organization. A lot of emphasis is on getting talent which are very strong in technology. Now, when I talk about technology, it could be the AI/ML technologies, because A lot of that is used in your clinical trials, for example, patient patterns, understanding the patient patterns, and so on. So the talent that we look for is from the ecosystem. If you go to engineering colleges, you get such talents, and we have relationship with academia, for example. We have got relationship with organizations just such as IAC, which has a talent which comes with a lot of domain understanding. And we also look at purely technology resources from engineering colleges, and then we develop the talent as well. So, there's a healthcare side of the knowledge as well. So from a talent standpoint, it is a technology. People who are strong in analytics is also critical, because we do a lot of analytics as far as patient data is concerned. And even in the back end, for running our business in the healthcare world and the supply chain to be effective, we do use a lot of analytics. So the second important area, other than technology, is analytics. And the analytics is, nowadays what has happened is, in the India ecosystem, you have institutions that have integrated analytics course, which produces a lot of talent. So we tap into the talent for our requirement as well.
All right, and lastly, do you see the tier 2 GCCs especially sort of as an opportunity to scale healthcare innovation at scale while also keeping the cost in check? Because a lot of tier 2 and tier 3 cities are now coming up with new GCCs. Like, what do you see? Is it an opportunity for the company?
I think that's going to be the next phase of growth, if you really ask me. Already it is growing, not that it is not. But from a healthcare standpoint, it is becoming even more important at the moment. One is cost efficiency, obviously, because when you go to a tier 2, you get cost efficiency. Second is the talent pool. I think you got a much wider talent pool. Of course, what you need to make an adjustment for is how much you invest on training them. In tier 2 cities, some of them have got strong domain knowledge, but it's also about how do you train them to your requirement, which is becoming critical. So yes, cost, the talent, the depth of talent that you have are going to be key critical drivers for tier 2 growth as we see for the near future.
All right, but are there any plans from your organization's perspective to sort of grow in the tier 2 or tier 3 cities?
Yes, I think we have not yet gone to the tier 3 yet, if I have to be honest. Obviously, tier 2 is where we are, because it's still, the tier 2 ecosystem is still kind of getting consolidated. And of course, it is in a growth trajectory. We are definitely looking at possibilities, although we have not made any decisions. But definitely we are looking at possibilities of tapping into the talent pool, which is very, very alluring as far as India is concerned, because now it is more concentrated towards tier 1 cities. But the next phase is definitely moving into tier 2 and tapping into the potential. And you've seen companies like Zoho, etc., that is really tapped into, and they have made it very clear that they would invest 6 to 8 months for training people. And then in the long term, they have got a lot of collateral benefits. That one, you get the good talent. Number two, your attrition rates are lower because people tend to stay back in their locations. So I think there is a lot of win-win proposition in the next phase.
But do you think that infrastructure is ready for that kind?
Absolutely, yes. I have traveled to the villages, in fact, I can tell you. In fact, as recent as a month ago, I traveled to the remotest part of southern part of India. Excellent infrastructure. The IT infrastructure is brilliant. The network infrastructure is brilliant. That's what you need. That's what some of the organizations now, which are setting up centers. For example, I used to work for other organizations as well in the past. They have got set up centers in places like Madurai, Coimbatore, which are tier 2 cities. And the infrastructure is brilliant, actually. So I don't see any challenges on the infrastructure front. It's about how do you have a strategy towards talent that will make a big difference to accelerate.
All right. So what's gonna, as we're moving towards the end of this conversation, sir, what's gonna drive the GCC growth, particularly in the healthcare sector in India, in the upcoming few years?
I think most importantly, when we look at GCCs, what's going to be really driving further growth would be one, the scale of talent, scale and depth of talent that we have. Second, specifically, India is becoming an innovation hub. I think that's a big thing, if you really ask me, in the maturity curve of the GCCs. Today, we are at a stage where the engineering and R&D and innovation go hand in hand, and that I see as a big driver for global organizations to use India as an innovation hub, rather than only talking about traditional processes that we were doing. When we started, that's what it was, but now we have come a long way to become the global innovation hub. I think that's the second one that's going to be a driver. The third is digital transformation. Obviously, India's tech force is a big advantage, and that's going to be really driving digital transformation across the enterprise. Forget about driving it only for centers, but it's now for the enterprise as a whole. Those I see as key drivers for GCCs to become a strategic part of the organization.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, sir, for being a part of this conversation. I think the day is very near when we see this huge GCC ambition into impact. Right? Thank you so much for being a part of this conversation and sharing your insights with us.
Pleasure to be a part of the conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And to our viewers, stay tuned for many more such interesting conversations only at Power Talks.